All right, so I'm telling you, if I point a rocket launcher at the ground, John, and I fire it, there is no chance of survival there. It's just blam, you're done.
What if you miss?
There is no missing. I'm at the ground.
You can be
Okay,
holding it backwards.
so this is live now. And
Welcome to the Biasholes Podcast,
Yeah,
where
there we
we're
go.
going to try a little bit of a shorter one because Trevor's kind of tired of
Because
that.
Jackson's going to commit suicide with
I've
my
got a
rocket launcher.
raging headache from my sweet kegger last night. That's exactly what happened.
There was all kinds of crazy shit going on.
Yeah,
Let's
always.
fail again.
All right. So we are back. We've kind of had some difficulties with the channel, and we're trying to get back on track. May still be a little patchy before we get to regularly uploading everything, but we're back in this capacity.
Like my beard, we are currently a little patchy and rough, but still lovable.
Is
And
it because your girlfriend made you shave it?
number one, no, she didn't. Number two, I have a beard right now, so see number one.
I
I
think we need
mean-
an image of it. Can we bring up Jacob live?
No, maybe.
We can't answer no.
Answer is no. All right. We have a list of topics to discuss today, and I figured I'd lead off. So I just finished up a history of video games class that was like half a semester long, and
Yeah.
at the end of it, the teacher brought in an Oculus Rift, and I got a chance to try it and play some Minecraft with it.
And he threw up 10 times.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
I gotta clarify here: is which VR thing did Facebook buy? Was it Oculus?
I believe it attempted to, or actually bought Oculus.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Actually, I'm gonna.
I'm pretty sure Oculus is the only real name in VR right now, and everything else
There's
is
also
either
the Vive
Valve
and the Rift.
or Sony. The Vive and the Rift. The Vive is a Valve thing, and the Rift is what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, those are the two big names. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's also Sony's VR kit, which is in development.
I would say Oculus is one of the leading names. What's kind of funny to me is not to take too much away from your story, Jackson, but so I believe the Oculus came out and a lot of people were outraged at the price point at, $600, I believe it was, because it said, the Oculus PR team, indicated before it would be quite a bit less. So people were kind of outraged whenever
It's affordable
higher
virtual
price.
reality. It's kind of hard to pack that much stuff into such a compact space that you can wear on your head comfortably. Right, and
Comfortable
it's-
is an overstatement, probably.
I was able to
leading
wear it
edge
with
of technology.
Here's the thing,
it's
John.
it's
I was
not
able
meant to be
to wear it
affordable.
while wearing my glasses, and I had no issues with it.
Except the fact he kept running into things.
No, you don't walk around with the Oculus Rift.
She ran into a tree in Minecraft.
I actually did test that out, and I would push myself up against blocks, and I would move in, and I could move my head into the blocks, and it was interesting being able to break the game just because there was head tracking.
I can see inside you, Rock.
There's nothing, it just turns into black. Unless you're in a leaf block, in which case you can see inside the leaf block, which is just the texture.
Which is kind of nauseating, probably.
No, not really.
Mm.
Honestly, I had no issues with nausea or anything like that. It was actually really hard to understand that I couldn't turn the look view without turning my head,
Ugh.
which I was fine with. Like,
Hmm.
there was a certain threshold to it. I don't know. It was
But-
odd, but I got used to it.
You don't see
The
this
hardest part-
replacing games as
I
they.
don't see it as replacing games, but I see it as being something that, if it's more affordable, it could be a very
More like-
interesting concept for some games.
Yeah.
I think
to
more like an
utilize.
add-on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's definitely more of a gimmick like motion controls.
Yeah, I still think that it has more staying power than motion controls,
Talking to
but
you,
at the same time, I don't exactly know how long it will stay around, or if it will become more relevant or not. I saw demo test footage of the Vive, which looked much better and more interesting because it allowed you to walk around and move, and you could actually manipulate objects thanks to these hand controls that you held.
Yeah, but how
and-
many more years advanced is this than the Oculus?
Like 5-ish, I want to say. Probably less than that, honestly. It's probably closer to 3 years. How long ago did the Oculus get
Trevor.
announced, kickstarted?
I'm going
So-
to look this up.
But what's
I don't know.
interesting to me, though, is
Make
how
sure you're right. We don't need a repeat of the second podcast where we had to get all of your information correct.
We're interrupting Jacob. Jacob, you were saying?
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I don't want to cut away from your story too much. I just think it's funny that the price point issue is how, as I was saying, how the Oculus came out at 600 and people were pissed off because they thought it would be the Oculus kind of indicated it would be less, and then the Vive came out at 800 and people were like, it's okay.
I mean, the
like
Vive
nobody
is
was really pissed at Vive.
Hypocrites!
The Vive is a substantially bigger system because it contains a system that converts your entire living room into a play space.
Ugh.
It uses a scanner to convert a specific area. I think it's like a between 5 foot by 5 foot or 8 foot by 8 foot space into a playable area that you stay within the boundaries, and you're not attached to cords or anything. It will track the Vive around the room, as well as the hand controls, which allow you to manipulate things within the play space while actually moving around. And we looked at a bunch of different forms of VR, and another one of them was like the Omni, which is kind of like that big setup that you stand in. It has an omnidirectional treadmill, and you walk around on it, and it's basically being able to move around in a game. And there was a tech demo for Team Fortress 2 for, I think it was the Omni and a VR gun, and this just kind of shows just what VR can actually do for gaming that regular games can't do. Somebody was running away from an enemy playing TF2, and they just lifted the gun behind them and were blindly firing while running away. But they were shooting backwards, which is something that you can't do in the actual game without turning around. And the fact that you could do this was something that's kind of never before seen in games.
Never before seen in TF2, shooting backwards.
Yeah,
Okay.
shooting backwards while running ahead at full speed and not looking at your target.
So I'm looking at Vive, and I'm looking at the Kickstarter for Oculus, and Oculus was launched on Kickstarter in August of 2012.
Okay,
And
so
Vive-
4-ish years ago?
Yeah,
Probably closer to 3.
yeah, and Vive was unveiled during HTC's Mobile World Congress keynotes in March 2015.
Yeah, the Vive is substantially newer, so it's like about a little less than 3 years improvement on the
Yeah.
technology.
Yep.
Still, that's 3. Oh shit. That's
So
3
professional.
years.
I mean, I'll say right now, I really actually enjoyed my VR experience, despite thinking that it's not something that really has the power to change too much.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because
I
you
think
can't
it's-
really update it without.
They can update the hardware by releasing new versions. It's just like the Xbox, and they can update the tracking software.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
I think it operates under the same principles as like the Wii did, where they would release like the Wii Motion Plus at some point. Something similar to that could be available for better head tracking and better synchronization with your movements.
I think it would make a lot more. Well, first of all, I don't think that's going to be the case because with the Wii, it had a limited range when it first came out, limited range of motion that it could detect, and then
Right.
in order to be able to track all motion, it added something on. This already has the full package, right? You can't
I
get
mean-
anything more out of it by releasing something else. It's already all there.
You say that, but people thought the same thing about the Wii.
I don't know about that.
I think he has.
The Wii was an amazing success.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I think the Wii is something different. I don't know if they'll come out with anything, to add on to this, and I think that's for the best, honestly.
All right.
Anyway.
I don't think that VR is a gimmick, but then again, I was the guy who didn't think motion controls was a gimmick, so
Yeah.
my opinion
Well-
is not necessarily as valid.
So then, who's right in this situation?
No
we will
one.
see.
I think VR has a lot more longevity than a lot of people think.
I'll get
but
behind
only time
that.
will
I feel
tell.
like VR has the potential to add a gameplay experience that doesn't wear out very quickly. Motion
But again,
controls kind- God damn, you're using your microphone again.
I apologize.
Mike.
My God, how does that happen?
I do not know. I
There we
apologize. There's a way for me to prop up my microphone so it sounds a little better, and I will continue to do that. Continue.
Do we want to move on to the next topic? Or...
I guess we can. I mean, we've kind of discussed all we wanted to say about VR, just like it's kind of a waiting game to see if it will go any further than motion controls did.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the last big gimmick for gaming.
And then VR falls through.
I use gimmick to refer to a lot of things. I don't necessarily mean something that's just a cheap way to add innovation to a game. I mean it as a different way to play a game. That's usually an add-on, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. You don't mean gimmick in a negative way.
Right. My professor had a lot of issues whenever I said a game had a lot of gimmicky applications in there. It's like, I don't mean it. It just means that it had something that's different from the standard way to play a video game.
Okay. So it was innovative is what you mean to say.
I wouldn't call it innovative, though, because it's not something that stayed around or changed the industry for the better. It's just something that made that game different.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord.
Did you just play Minecraft with it, or did you... Oh, shit.
I'm sorry. What?
I fucked up your segue.
What were you saying?
I was just asking if Jackson played anything other than Minecraft with the Oculus.
No, Minecraft was the only thing he had set up, and we didn't really make time for more demos. Because it was at the end of the final, and people were leaving, and it was just kind of like a last minute. If you want to try this, go ahead, play for a couple minutes, and let someone else play.
It's very interesting, and not a lot of people play, is what I'm guessing.
A couple of us did, and the one kid who was really wanting to play it, he immediately went underground and tried to build a base, and then the teacher's just like, why don't you not do that, and so other people don't get lost and have to be stuck in your base, and you're like, but it's my base. This kid was a nuisance the entire class, but I don't want to get into that because
was his name Jackson?
No.
Jackson was just speaking in third person the entire time.
No, his name was Kevin, and he was a nuisance. He praised Microsoft like no other.
Praise Microsoft.
I swear, Bill Gates came up to him and said, "If you suck my dick, I will bless you personally." He would do it.
Okay. Somebody's written here, Move or Die.
Move or Die, we kind of discussed it in the previous podcast, but it's a platformer, and it's designed to be played very fast-paced.
Which Jackson sucks at. Oh, no, he sucks at platformer.
I suck at everything. Anyway,
he sucks at sucking.
Yeah, I'm much better at blowing. The joke is that I haven't done either.
Well, that's
Probably never will.
Okay.
Hopefully never will.
So what do you want to discuss? Who wrote this, first of all?
Jacob said it, I wrote it down.
What's up?
Oh.
Jacob suggested Move or Die as a conversational topic, and I wrote it down, but I don't know if we're going to go anywhere with it.
So basically, if you look on Steam,
Yes.
Platformers are kind of a dime a dozen, especially with indie developers. And platformers are definitely my jam.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people
you
can
have
really stick
lots
up
of-
platformers really fast. I am not one of those people. But something comes along like Move or Die that is a platformer, but it also has a competitive element. It has multiple game modes, and it is fast, fun, and simple. And I just thought it was worth giving a little bit of praise, similar to games like Cloudberry Kingdom, where it's or Braid or any of the platformers that change the industry, where it's just a nice addition while sticking to the things that make platformers good. So I'm just wanting to give praise where praise is due, and it's just a fuck ton of fun. So
You and I both, Jacob. We are of the dying breed of platformer lovers.
The weird thing is that there are so many platforms out there, and there's so many platforms coming out, but there are very few of them nowadays that are worth your time.
I know, right? Exactly.
I find it kind of interesting because I kind of gauge games' popularity based on Achievement Hunter, and we actually beat Achievement Hunter to Move or Die.
I know, right?
Not that anyone watched it, but still.
I know, right? Like I saw our thumbnail come up, and then I think the next day maybe I scrolled down and I saw the Achievement Hunter thumbnail, and I was like, damn, it is very seldom that we do that.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever beat it. I don't think we'll ever beat
everyone.
anything else ever again. Say again?
I said high fives, everyone.
High fives all around.
But not just that, there are certain games as well, like Super Mario Maker, that I would say that really just changed how things were done, and
Yeah.
Would Super Mario Maker
great
be the
YouTube
last Mario
YouTube
game?
debate.
Say that again, John.
Would Super Mario Maker be the last Mario game? Because technically we're making the levels now.
No, it's not going to be the last game.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
We talked
Nintendo-
about how I think that the Mario. I mean, Mario Maker is kind of a mistake as far as I'm concerned because it's true what they say
Oh my
that
God,
you could
yes.
literally recreate any level from any future Mario game with it unless they drastically change the formula.
Right,
Which
they're
you
gonna
know they
make
won't.
so
because they're
many new
Nintendo
mechanics.
Plain state.
So here's my thing. It seems like Nintendo with Super Mario Maker.
Here we go again.
It seems like Nintendo with Super Mario Maker was trying to get rid of, trying to deplete the number of people who are playing old Mario games on ROMs and emulators, right?
I didn't even think about that, but that's incredibly true.
Because not only is it that, but there's also people who like to mod Mario games, like old Mario games, because it's actually pretty simple. Like there's tools and stuff out there available. But if Nintendo releases their own thing, which is
Allows you to do all that.
well, maybe a little bit less, honestly, because it seems like before, whereas you had a ton of creative freedom and you had all the assets that were in the original games. In this version, in Super Mario Maker, they actually have a very limited pool of things that you can put in your level in comparison to if you're using the tools made by the community for the actual original games on the NES, the SNES, such and such. So, and also, the Super Mario Maker levels are not completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Completely.
Well,
No. The
made
way they control aren't completely authentic, right? They aren't controlling exactly like the old games.
that is
There's a sub-pixel.
perspective.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying that's a really interesting perspective. I did not even think about the percentage of people that are probably taking a break from ROMs and playing Mario Maker just because it's a viable way that Nintendo gave them. And not just that, I mean Mario Maker is just another great toss in the pile of good games that makes the Wii U a viable console, where it's getting to a point where it's not just the Nintendo fanboys that have Wii U. It's getting out there a little more in circulation.
Which kind of is sad because it's nearing the end of its lifespan. We studied like console controls in my history of games class, which is kind of where I get a lot of information, but it was a really fun class to take and it really taught me a lot. But consoles tend to have roughly a 5 to 6 year lifespan, and the Wii U's nearing the end of that. Which is why all the NX rumors have started popping up, and it's probably going to be announced Nintendo's new console soon, right at the end of the Wii U span.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is kind of a shame, but at the same time, I'd rather them move and I'd rather they move on to better hardware to make better games rather than try to make older hardware work for these games.
Okay, here's what I have to say about that. First of all, I don't know if that statistic of, what was it, 6 years a console?
I mean, it's literally proven by timelines for all consoles. There was a 6-year gap between the N64 and the GameCube. There was a 6-year gap between the Xbox and the Xbox 360. There was a 6-year gap between the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3. They all come out within like a 6-year span.
Okay, fine.
And they release on alternating years so that a new console is rarely coming out at the same time as the other, except in rare cases.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but
Your argument is invalid. You've been scienced.
no, here's the thing. Here's my rebuttal to that, is that you have such a small time scale to pull from, right? You call this, your sample size, but
I mean, it goes back to I want to say it goes back to the Super NES.
Yeah, that's what, 3 generations? 3 generations is
That's
not
4
very much.
generations, Trevor. We're on Gen 8 right now.
Okay, let's think about this. SNES to Nintendo 64 to GameCube to Wii to Wii U, were those all 6-year gaps?
Well, let me see. Nintendo.
Sucks.
I
wait.
guess it was more than 3, though. That is my fault. I was thinking about, I guess, Xbox and PlayStation generations.
Timeline of video game console releases in North America. Let's see. Is there a way to sort this?
Yes. We're all gonna fact just check this right here.
So,
If it's any
let's
consolation,
see.
I'm not checking it.
1991 with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Okay.
1996 with the Nintendo 64. That
Okay,
is
so that's
6
5
years.
years.
That's 5 to 6 years, somewhere in there. I mean, ultimately 5 years.
5 years.
2001 Nintendo GameCube.
Okay, so that's 6 years.
2006 the Wii.
That's 5 years.
And 2012 the Wii U.
That's 6 years.
Bam, you've been scienced.
Okay, but still, that is.
Well, here's
It's-
the thing, right? Like, on one hand, I would say that they have incentive to roll out a new console because, the Wii U, it wasn't, at this point, it wasn't necessarily a total bomb, but, I mean, it definitely was not the
It
success they hoped it
underperformed.
would
I
be.
won't say it failed because the margin for failure is a lot lower in the video game industry than what the Wii U achieved. But the
Right.
Wii U underperformed expectations, and that kind of killed a lot of investor confidence, and that's why the brand has been suffering, and a lot of people have been talking about it.
I won't fight
Holy
you on
shit, I'm
that
sounding
one
like Joel.
because that is actually something that is supported by hard evidence.
Oh, and timelines are not supported by hard evidence.
Well, they're
Okay, so
trends.
the thing is, like, you cannot be able to predict that.
You can't
The-
predict, but it's a pretty consistent timescale, especially with the evolution of technology. You have to understand that new consoles are made when technological advancements outpace what a current console can do. And the Wii U's hitting the point where 2012 hardware is not adequate to run games in the 2016-17 era.
I would like to make a slight correction to that. I totally get what you're saying, but at the same time, there are PCs that can infinitely outperform, all major consoles. So I would say that major consoles are released whenever new technology is available in a way that is affordable to the average consumer.
Right.
Well, and now here's my other thing: is that eventually, this trend of 6 years, it's got to run out, right? I think.
I mean, we are starting to plateau on technological advancements, but I don't think that means that we're going to not see the NX for another 3 years, or whatever the Nintendo new console will be. I think that's still a good 2 console generations off, maybe, before we start seeing longer game releases. I mean, Microsoft's made plans to have upgradable consoles in the near future. So consoles that function much more like PCs, and you can swap out parts to better parts, making it cheaper to maintain a single console.
Am I alone in saying that Nintendo needs to get better at naming their consoles?
I thought the Wii was catchy.
Sense.
The Wii U seems a
GameCube
little
made
odd.
sense. The Wii was kind of a strange name. The Wii U was an even stranger name because it sounded more like an attachment rather than a whole new console. And then the NX seems just kind of.
Well, here's the thing: NX is not a finalized name. It's the rumored name, and it's probably, if it's legitimate, it's more likely than not an internal name used to refer that will not be the final name.
Rumored, you mean official?
Shut up.
Anyway.
I've been meaning to purchase a 3DS, but I don't want to do it out of fear that they're gonna unveil their new handheld at
4DS.
E3 this year.
At this point, I'm just getting
4DS,
ready to
yes.
buy a 2DS because as far as I'm aware, the 2DS is the one they're trying to make every game work for. I could be wrong on that, but last I've checked, the 2DS is backwards compatible with any previous DS game as well as all 3DS games.
That wouldn't be a bad buy then, if that's the case.
Yeah, and it's only $100.
Yeah, pretty cheap.
It's like I've just missed out on now 3 different Pokemon games, and I really am tired of it.
Sun and Moon. We could talk about that. The announcement of 2 new
Pokemon
games.
S&M.
Shit.
We've run out of colors. Now we're doing.
I will be upset if Soul Rock and Lunatone are not integral to the plot.
Then.
Gen 3 was the one where I really got into and started playing Pokemon, so it kind of holds a place. Even though I initially did play Pokemon Red thanks to a friend and accidentally overwrote his save file, and he wasn't my friend after that.
Yeah, thanks, Jackson.
Okay, first of all, fuck you. This was like second grade. But yeah, like Pokemon Sapphire, I still own my copy. Easton had a copy of Pokemon Emerald for a long time. We did play like because our neighbor gave us a copy of Pokemon Blue and a copy of Pokemon Gold. And then the first games that we each individually bought was Diamond and Pearl. I got Pearl, Easton got Diamond, and we just kind of played on our own DSs. And we just kind of been running through the versions ever since then. We both got Platinum, and then we got Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and that's when he stopped. And I ended up getting a DSi that had Pokemon White version, and that's where I dropped off. I don't even think I beat it. I know I beat the Elite Four, but
I don't know if I understand what the big deal is about Pokemon, because isn't it kind of the same game over and over again?
It is.
Trevor, have you heard of something called Call of Duty?
I am very aware.
Here's
I'm
the thing,
very aware.
Pokemon and Call of Duty can actually be viewed as very similar, but Pokemon is a very 90s and culturally significant thing that's made a big impact on today's society, whereas Call of Duty is a nuisance that promotes Americans' fear of the unknown.
Right, but the concept that I'm getting behind here is it's the same game, and I'd say Pokemon is better at this, but it's the same game, the same core mechanics, the same core idea, but it's improved upon in each iteration. Pokemon's a lot better at it than Call
The
of
way
Duty.
I view Call of Duty is that it's basically the same game until people start to notice that it's the same game, and then they change it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, this is the exact same thing as the original Call of Duty.
I mean, you can make arguments that each one plays slightly different, but ultimately you're playing a very core mechanic set that just has some of the attachments
Shoot
changed
the bad
around.
guys.
Yeah, and that's what Mario is turning into too.
Yeah, Pokemon's kind of doing that, although they did, I think with X and Y, they adapted an isometric view, so you can actually move diagonally.
Yes, they did.
And it's like three-dimensional now, which is a little off-putting, but, you gotta improve at some point. Not really, but I guess they thought it was imperative.
I think I was tired of that set 4 directions. I like all the directions.
Yeah, I was
Except
fine with
straight
the
up,
4
straight up
directions. It's
sucks.
just kind of classic. You're making me want to play Pokemon again. I actually found my DS recently.
It was
I wish I
buried
could
under
record.
his GameCube.
Oh, God.
It is my dream that we both get a Pokemon game at the same point, get alternate versions, and we play through it together and trade Pokemon like little schoolgirls on the playground.
Schoolgirls,
That's what I
girls
said,
have the
schoolgirls.
Tamagotchis. No, girls kicked my ass at Pokemon routinely. Jacob, I'll do it. I will buy Moon if you buy Sun, or vice versa. Which one do you want?
Did you say that because you wanted Moon?
We're making a pact right now. I'm just gonna buy whichever one. Either one sounds appealing to me.
This is live. They're
This
doing
is live.
this.
This is the equivalent of spitting on our hands and shaking them.
If you want, I think we'll have to see what legendaries come with each game. But
No,
I kind of
we have to decide now, Jacob. Pick Sun or Moon. Which one sounds more
kind of
appealing to
want
you?
Moon.
There's
But
the
like, I don't
country.
All
want
right, then.
Make your
I'm
decision.
taking Sun. I changed
Okay.
my mind anyway. I think Sun sounds better.
Well, now I kind of want Sun.
No, fuck you. You already picked.
All right, I'll take Moon. I'll take Moon.
Sun and Moon. We'll trade Pokemon. I'll get you a Soul Rock.
Well, do we want to move on then?
I
Yes,
guess
let's move on
we can
before-
talk about
Before
the.
they decide what matching wristbands are gonna get.
I already have wristbands. Jacob, do you want my Iron Man? I'm wearing the Captain America one right now.
God damn it.
John, I shit you not, we had matching wristbands until we both lost our Rooster Teeth ones.
Your girlfriend was the one who lost my Rooster Teeth wristband.
Yeah, she's sorry.
She took it from me, and she's like, I want to see. And she tried to throw it at my hand, and it bounced across the cafeteria, and I never saw it again. I don't know how, too. I knew exactly where it landed, but when I went there, it was gone, and there were no kids in that area.
Magic.
Yeah, it probably just entered a dimensional vortex.
Yep, there it is.
Its molecules aligned perfectly, and it phased into the floor.
That's not how that works.
It's now part of West's floor.
Now we're in the physics portion of the podcast.
Anyway, do we want to move on to the other topic?
The big egg sitting in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
No one knows why it's an egg or why it's here, but we have to fry it at some point.
I think we can all contribute to this.
Jacob,
This
get the
is-
fire axe.
This is
I have a fire axe.
You're an
Battle
EMT.
axe.
It's part of your required.
Number one, please don't spread that misconception. I am an EMT in training, not an EMT yet. I've not passed the national registry. And number two, we do not carry fire axes.
Why not? They're essential for chopping.
carry
down
battle
wood.
Firemen do
axes,
that.
damn
That's a
it.
fireman's job. If we need a fire axe, we'll call a fireman.
No, they take too long. You have to have the limb chopper now.
The limb chopper.
What else do you use to chop off people's limbs?
Mainly a rusty hacksaw, but
Well, that works too, I guess, but we're dealing with an egg here, Jacob.
My leg's crushed
Not a-
under a
not a
car.
human.
Get the rusty hatchet.
All right.
So this is copyright issues,
Copyright issues.
just in general. So
Okay.
Mm.
I
I
actually
would
have a
like
piece of
to-
information I found out thanks to a man I follow on Tumblr by the name of Suddenly Oranges, who makes
Okay.
bionicle things. But anyway, first let's talk about like fair use and stuff like that.
Parody law.
So
So-
I would like to quickly say that recently, a couple content creators, one by the name of I think it's Boogie298 and Nostalgia Critic, both recently released videos about fair use, and it was kind of a moving video about how in the past 8+ years that they've been making videos on the internet, they've never felt safe in making any of their videos, or at least posting them without copyright strikes. I think the real heinousness of fair use, especially on websites like YouTube, is that companies who want to make copyright strikes can do it freely, right? So, for example, if I have a media company and Trevor posts a video of a review that maybe mentions the film I made, and I want to take it down because I believe he's doing this not for review purposes, and I throw out a copyright strike.
First off,
You
you're a
can-
cunt, but let's move on.
Well, right. But not just that. The main heinous part of that is that companies can throw out copyright strikes as much as they want, and there's no penalty for it.
Right.
No
I mean, it
penalty
can
for
be
making a
disputed
copyright
in a-
strike that turns out to be unfounded.
Right.
And
You
that's
know what's
kind of
interesting?
bullshit.
Yeah.
What's up?
John, you mentioned parody law a little
Yeah.
bit. You know what's interesting? Does anyone remember how Captain Sparkles made a various Minecraft remixes of different songs?
yeah, you made this comment before in
Have I?
conversation.
Because as far as I'm aware, I haven't. But
I can't remember.
almost all of them got taken down because of copyright strikes, even though they were clearly parodies and they did not use any original content from them other than the beat
That's
and
right.
the main melody. All they did, they completely recreated the songs, every single one of them, using
Right.
either Minecraft note blocks or other software to where that was clearly different, but they still got removed under copyright strikes,
And
which seems odd to me.
well,
Because they got popular.
okay, so here's the thing. Copyright, this is the interesting thing to me, is that copyright was initially put in place in the United States as a way to protect the artists of the original works.
Yes.
And in addition to that, make it such that anybody can use it after they've profited from it. And it's very interesting that the people who made these things claim it like it's completely theirs for their entire lives, and then some afterwards. There's a great video that goes into detail about this. It's called "Forever One Less Day" by CGB Grey, and it's amazing.
I'm very intently trying to listen to whatever background conversation is going on through Jacob's microphone.
I will have to apologize for that. I will mute my microphone when I am not talking.
Okay.
Starting now.
All right.
Blew out the entire audience. Oh my god, that's great.
Anyway, so I think it's very interesting that what it was originally what the intent was originally, is totally what it's being used for. Or it's the total opposite of it is what it's being used for, and I can't talk today, and I
It
apologize.
feels like it's both being used correctly and incorrectly, but somehow at the same time.
It's being used incorrectly most of the time.
Okay, first of all, you're right, but second of all, fuck you.
That was
Anyway.
what I was waiting for.
I'm getting very tired.
Yeah, I understand. We'll try to not go too much longer, but
Yeah.
you know.
Anyway,
Come.
so I have a question for you guys. Have you ever heard of Everything is a Remix?
I've heard of the concept. I think it's bullshit, but you know.
I
Yeah.
have not heard of it. Enlighten me.
Okay, so there was this video series that some guy made called Everything is a Remix, and it's basically his thesis, his ideas about where ideas come from. And he's talking about artistic ideas like music, like film, like writing, and he compares it at one point to like a virus or just life in general. How you start with a single cell of a single cell of life of some sort, and it duplicates, it splits, and the new cell has some mutation, some new spin on it that makes it different. And then from those two cells, more cells duplicate until you have a whole bunch of these things that are all different in some way. And he says this is how ideas work, is that you have one idea in the beginning that pretty much everything spawns from. And that's
Now, is
how
this on an individual scale or a worldwide scale?
he's talking about a worldwide scale, and I don't necessarily completely agree with this model, but I think that in a lot of aspects, the way ideas spread is a lot like this, or how a lot of ideas spread is a lot like this. I don't think all ideas are completely or mostly derivative from other ideas. I think there can be completely original ideas. Anyway,
Right.
the point is, he talks about copyright infringement at one point in this series called Everything is a Remix, and he very much shines it in a negative light because he very much thinks that copyright should be used for the spread of new ideas, and
I thought that's
The-
what patents were for.
well, patents and copyright, they sort of exist in the same realm. Anyway, so what he gets at is that original works should be there and it should be used for profit for the original creators, but then eventually be able to be, derived from to create new works. And I think it's a very interesting series. Not if you necessarily agree with it, but it's worth watching. So anyway, I'm surprised none of you guys have seen it. I'm pretty sure you and I saw it, Jackson, in high school.
I don't think we watched it, but you've talked about it in high school in the past.
Now, he went nuts about that. He just totally agrees with it.
He worships the guy.
Let's
Yeah,
not call him out.
he worships the idea. Excuse
I
me.
just don't want him seeing this.
Yeah, no, I
Use
understand.
his first name and his last name.
Excuse me. We can bleep that, right?
No.
Did you use his last name? I only heard the first name.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I used his last name.
Whatever.
Totally like just unexplained censorship. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so
Oh, I just realized I have the Saints Row 3 footage, Jacob.
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't worship it anymore. I don't know, but
I'm
I
sure
remember
he
when
just worships some pagan god.
when you first heard about it, I knew that he was very adamant about it, and I was very much against it, and that caused a lot of conflicts creatively between us, I should say. Anyway, so any other thoughts from you guys?
I mean, I think copyright is something that should be more defined clearly because as it stands, you never know what's safe and what's not. However, YouTube is kind of taking steps toward that, and now there's a way to see, specifically with film soundtracks, it's really inconsistent what can and cannot be copyright stricken, and YouTube's working on a database accessible to every channel that's monetizing their money, which is the main target. Monetizing the channel for money, which is the main channel, the main source of conflict here, are channels that monetize content having stuff deleted with no context.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
YouTube definitely has a problem of anybody being able to claim copyright infringement on any video that they want.
I mean, there was a thing where people were just randomly claiming copyright for no reason, wasn't there? Just like somebody who had nothing to do with.
Yeah,
pretty
it was
sure
like
that's-
early on, wasn't it?
That's still a thing, though, isn't it? It's to some
Yeah,
extent.
Jackson, do you
Everything's-
remember the Nostalgia Critic Mad Max review you watched, where it was a reenactment, and you weren't quite fond of the review, but do you remember it?
Vaguely.
He got a copyright strike on videos like that, where he didn't even post footage of the film, he was just reenacting bits from it.
That's funny. Which one got stricken?
I believe it was the Jurassic World one, but I'm not 100% sure.
Only
Yeah.
one way to find out.
Well, either way, but yeah, they're starting to work on making libraries of data that people can use and very comfortably and very easily put up music that is approved and will not be copyright stricken at all. I think a lot of the Marvel OSTs are on there, but I'd have to check this out.
Well, anyway, that's kind of
Marvel.
all I wanted to say
Sorry,
about.
quick shout out. So do you guys are aware of subscription boxes like Loot Crate, right?
Yes.
DC, Marvel has one.
Yeah.
You know, there's tons out there. But DC just released their own, and they had one for Batman v Superman coming out on the 25th, which you guys know I am nerding out about, and they just released one for all the DC television shows, and they are trying to take my wallet from me. So I need you guys to freeze my bank account for me. Thank you.
Don't, mostly because I still have no faith in Batman versus Superman, especially with the addition of more characters crowding a movie that already has too many.
Listen. That movie at this point could be 2 hours of a potato, and I would love it.
That's because
I'm gonna hold you
stupid,
to
but
that.
you know what? Okay.
It's one of those things where from the trailer, I can tell watching it, I'm gonna have a good time. Now, whether or not it's gonna be a great movie, I can't say, but I know I'm gonna enjoy it. So.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Jacob.
Are you gonna replace the movie and his screening of it with
With the
a
potato.
with a potato? You're gonna sneak up to the little room with the projector and replace it.
You know for a fact, if you managed to pull off that prank, I would sit through 2 hours of just watching a potato. Just.
So if we pulled the Blaine
Just to
Gibbs
spite me.
prank, seeing Star Wars Episode 7, if we pulled that on you, would you be okay with that?
Yes.
It wouldn't be Star Wars. It would be a Batman v Superman. But you know.
Right. I think it's funny as well if you tried to pull it on me, be like, yeah, you get to see an early screening of Batman v Superman. I would be like, I'm too busy, fam. Like, I just got too much to do. I don't know if I can.
You wouldn't make time in your schedule for Batman v Superman?
I would find time, but it would be stressful.
I would be real. I'm honestly just really fucking pumped for Civil War. I don't know what it is about that movie. It's a Captain America movie, and while The Winter Soldier was a good movie, it never really stuck with me in particular. Like,
It's one of the best comic book films to date, but yeah.
I mean, you can say that, and ultimately that is technically subjective, even though it's like a majority opinion. And I think that Winter Soldier was a good movie. That didn't stop me from enjoying Guardians of the Galaxy and remembering it more, simply because it's kind of my alley of films that I enjoy, which is kind of space opera sci-fi. But regardless, I don't know what it is about Civil War, but I'm excited for it.
Well, I think it's because the Captain America movies seem like they're capitalizing on the drama aspect.
Yeah, it's very much not an Avengers 3, which is what a lot of people have been saying it will be. And looking at the cast, you would think that, but from what it's looking like the Russo brothers have done a very good job of focusing the story on this one character.
What I'm afraid of is, I don't want to spoil it, but I'll probably tell you guys after it. What really happens at the end of Civil War is what I think is going to happen.
Here's the thing. I'm proud of Marvel because they've been going out of their way to divorce themselves from the comics for some time now, and I think that they're going to continue that trend. Also, I just think based on contracts and signed on things, that there's going to be no issues with twists happening. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think it's realistically going to be able to happen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, I've been proven wrong before simply because who was the guy who got cast as Quicksilver?
Quicksilver? I don't know his name.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Morgan Freeman?
No, Aaron Taylor Johnson. The guy, his contract was for 3 films.
He died.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
kind of the spoiler. That's kind of the spoiler, but Age of Ultron's been out for such a long time, and I think comic book movies are easier and less important than other movies, so spoiling them isn't as big a deal, personally. Because they come out so frequently. We get 2 a year. And they're moving up to 3 a year next year.
Are you serious that he signed up for a 3-year contract?
No, well, yeah, he signed for a 3-year contract, and they had no plans to develop the character. But I think that was kind of a ruse to keep people guessing. It could be that he actually has a 3-film contract. It's just the 3 films aren't stated beyond Age of Ultron, so it's.
I'm still guessing. Hashtag Zombie Quicksilver.
I'd be okay with Zombie Quicksilver.
Maybe he's just an extra and the other's not as Quicksilver as someone else.
I don't know. I don't think they would sign him on because it's like under the character he would have to feature in a prominent role.
If he was the new Flash, that would be amazing in the DC universe.
It's funny because Quicksilver has been played by both the primary characters in Kick-Ass now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was Aaron Taylor Johnson and whoever played him in Days of Future Past. So that's funny.
Hilarious.
Shut up, Trevor.
Trevor sounds so amused.
Trevor's
So
tired of being a
impressed.
bitch.
I'm sorry.
Comic book movies are fun, Trevor. Do you not get into them?
Not really.
What kind of drives you away from that? I'm curious. Because comic book movies are some of my favorite on the market right now, and it's why even when Star Wars Episode 7 was coming out, I really wasn't caring that much about it as much as I was excited for news on Civil War.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the cinematography in the movies is safe. Like, I feel like I've realized things about movies now that make me less attracted to them.
Yeah.
I think it's important though. It's I totally get where you're coming from, Trevor. You know, we get spoiled on things like Tarantino and you know really artful and edgy directors, and then we watch things safe like a Marvel film. But I think it's important to not let that take away too much from our enjoyment.
It's not like they're bad movies. It's just it seems like they're like a dime a dozen now.
I mean, that's exactly the point. My big thing that I love about it is the fact that I get to see a consistent universe being constantly updated.
Yeah.
At least once. Because my big issue with stuff that I like is that I always want to go back to it. I always want to see more what happens next. And I hate waiting. And what Marvel does is they put out these 2 movies a year so that I don't have to wait too long to get more glimpses into this universe.
It's almost like episodic content.
It really is. It's episode. I mean, if you look at it, I would argue that now, as far as movie cinema franchises go, the Marvel Universe is one of the biggest cinema-based franchises to date. Because you have all the movies, which is 6 in Phase 1, 6 in Phase 2, and I think they're going to have 8 for Phase 3. But we're just counting the 6. That's already 12 movies contributing to one universe. They have, I want to say, 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 2 seasons of Agent Carter that are all completed, as well as Netflix shows where they have 1 season of Daredevil, 1 season of Jessica Jones, and I think in like 10 days they're going to have another season of Daredevil. And all of these exist within the exact same universe, so they're all affected by the other media.
And I'm just not interested in that. I'm sorry.
I mean, it gives me what I want, which is
he doesn't know what he's talking about.
A large universe that is consistently updated and consistently kept up to date without having too many continuity issues. I'll admit that there's like a few because you can't always time the schedule productions. Casting aside, I let casting slide because sometimes cast just doesn't fit.
You mean like how Captain America and the Human Torch are the same person?
Here's the thing. That is Fox versus Disney.
Okay.
Fox movies do not exist within the same realm as the Disney movies.
Why can't they make a good Fantastic Four movie? Why
They
can't
just
that
can't.
happen?
It's impossible.
It's just
I
it
don't
just
know.
won't work.
It's something about like the writers. I don't know exactly why. It's like personally, I found the Fantastic Four boring, and I never cared about them.
I would have to disagree. I read the comics and then I watched the movie when I was a kid, and the movie made sense as a kid. And I grew up and I was like, oh, this is trash.
Yeah. I mean, I have that a lot of times where it's like, I loved this thing as a kid, and I look at it and I'm like, wow, kid me was a fucking idiot.
The best thing you can do if you have something from your childhood, like a film or something that you remember that you love, just don't watch it again. Just hold on to that good memory.
I'll make an exception. The Hot Wheels movies are still really good, even though they're so predictable and they're like only an hour long each. I love them.
Hot Wheels movies predictable. I would have never have guessed.
Okay, first of all, shut your fucking trash mouth. I will make you watch these, and you will fucking love it.
Oh God. Are we
Right?
gonna replace it with a potato?
Yes, maybe. Yes.
Just 2 hours of Jackson playing with Hot Wheels and like a potato.
I reenact the movie with a track set that I buy at thrift stores. And the
Full with
cars
like sound
I have.
effects and everything. Yes, I want it.
Sounds like we're about done here.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I actually want to talk a bit more because I was hoping we'd make an hour, which we
Yeah.
still have like 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk more about this
You know,
potato.
Here's the thing. What time are we at? Are we at like 10 minutes left? We should just fill the rest of the podcast with a potato.
That's what I was about to say.
Last
Let's
You guys
talk more
have
about this
fun with that.
potato.
Do we want to do Dungeons and Dragons over the summer?
We should.
I am doing it with my little brother right now.
Right,
He's
but we've
like-
got a guy who's a much nicer guy who's willing to DM, and I think it'd be interesting, different content for us to pursue because it's still gaming, it's just a different type, and I really enjoy Dungeons and Dragons at school, and I really want to experience it more when I'm not at school.
There is a show on the YouTubes from Geek and Sundry.
Critical
and-
Role.
Yep.
I know
and-
exactly what you're talking about,
Well,
but yeah.
for me, I just started watching it, and I think it's great. And I love the idea of other things like Will Wheaton's Tabletop. I love the idea of YouTube being a platform for not only gaming, but traditional gaming in the tabletop sense. I think it's super
Hashtag
cool.
Wheaton curse is real.
Big Bang Theory ruined Will Wheaton for me.
I've met him in person, and he is a super chill dude. And
Did you ask him how he feels about Big Bang Theory?
I did not. People, I attended a panel he was at, and a lot of people didn't necessarily ask that question directly, but they were like, "How do you feel about the way you're portrayed on The Big Bang Theory?" or questions similar to that. And he said, it's just
Is he basically saying it's a job and he's paid, so he's gonna
not
pursue it?
necessarily. Well, it's one of those things where if you look at The Big Bang Theory, I know we've talked about the Big Bang thing. We talked about it.
Before, but yeah, I mean, it's something that we can always bring up because there's always something new to talk about on that show.
Right, but,
specifically
like-
how they brush off mental illness.
It's such a case of the actors are talented, the set design is good. There's so many things about it
It's
that
the script that's it.
that are good. Here's the thing, even the writing isn't that bad. It's really just the stereotypes and the
I mean, a big part of it is casual racism.
no, I wouldn't say don't I wouldn't call it racism.
I will call it racism simply because of like the treatment referring to like backstory and race jokes are a pretty consistent part of the comedy.
I would say jokes about ethnicity, yes, are quite a common thing. It does sort of have the problem where Vine has, where like there are definitely funny moments, but like if all the humor is about like, oh, this guy's a fucking nerd, or oh, this guy's black, it's like okay.
Like my dad watches episodes, and an episode was on tonight, and there was actually a relatively funny scene because it was talking about like the two characters who get married, and one of them is of German descent and one of them is of Jewish descent. It's like apparently our ancestors were neighbors. Oh, that's nice. It really isn't. I'll explain to you later. And it's something that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on immediately unless you had a history with the world, which actually struck me as very funny.
The thing, Jackson, is my folks love the show as well, and I think like our
But they
parents
love it for different reasons, is the thing.
Well, no, I think it provides my parents of a means of they can't always relate to the things that I like. So when a show comes along and kind of normalizes it and makes fun of it from sort of an external point, they kind of feel like they can relate to things I like without actually relating to them. And
Right.
I'm not condemning them. I'm just saying that that's the show's fault, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, a big part of me is just like, while I don't absolutely hate the show like most people do, I do recognize its flaws, but at the same time, I think that it has its good moments. Especially when it comes to writing comedy that's not really offensive or pointed to anything.
So you find it funny still?
I find some of it funny. I will laugh like maybe
It has
3
its
times an
moments.
episode, which is enough to keep me entertained.
Yep.
As long as it's like something in the background. Usually I'll be on my phone or I'll be talking with my parents while it's on. But for the most part, I don't like actively watch it, is the thing.
Yeah, I've dropped off Big Bang Theory myself.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor, back in high school, we talked about it nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
It was one of those
We're
things
talking
like,
about Penny
as Jacob said, season 1 was comedy gold,
Yep.
apparently. I haven't actually seen season 1 that much.
The rest is kind of like comedy copper.
Yeah,
Comedy
I would say Coppers are pretty good.
What about the
Pretty good.
current season? Is that Copper or has that been beneath Copper?
I feel like the Biasholes is comedy aluminium.
All right, first of all, fuck you. First you walk into my house, say aluminium, then you say Andrew's a symbol.
It is actually.
I have to disown you.
It is actually officially aluminum.
Get fucked.
I'm getting fucked.
In old times, aluminum was the most valuable thing. Because
Yeah,
it's
in
so
olden
hard to
times,
get.
people were also fucking dipsticks who didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
It's true, they did ruin their economy by getting a surplus of gold that they had became so inflated it had no value.
Yeah.
Well, does that sum it up?
Yeah, now let's
And-
talk about that potato.
I mean, I like potatoes. They're one of the... I mean, there's people that have done experiments where they say potatoes contain all the nutrition that a human needs to survive, and there was a guy who ate nothing but potatoes for like 2 months.
And died.
No, he was fine. To prove that potatoes contain the most nutrients. Like, the
I
most
believe it.
well-rounded nutrients of any edible thing out there. Also, they taste good. They're a
So
vegetable,
if I
but
eat
they don't
French
taste like a
fries for
vegetable.
2 months, I'll live.
Which is to say, like, chemicals and death.
Well, I mean, you can survive on eating anything for 2 months, really.
You can the best way actually. Do you know how a lot of people eat kale? The best way to lose weight is to just once a day insert a potato rectally.
I don't know if I believe this.
Alright, if you had to take rectal vodka shots, would you do it?
No.
If I had to. In what situation do I have to?
Alright, either you do it and you get $1 million, but you have to take a rectal vodka shot.
I would take multiple for $1 million.
I think you would die of alcohol poisoning before the second one.
How many do I have to take?
1.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's the thing, like, when you rectally insert anything that gets into the bloodstream, it goes a lot faster.
Right,
So
but one shot's not going to kill me.
Yeah, well, I think there are people that have OD'd on single shots, depending on the alcohol
No.
to the rectum.
No, not single shots.
Oh yeah,
I'll-
oh yeah.
I'll
It
believe
depends
it.
on the alcohol. I think like Everclear to the rectum will kill you.
You know what? I tell you what. The first time I treat alcohol to the rectum, I will give you a call.